29th of July. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, today we have the Dr. Troy Heffernan joining us. Dr. Troy actually is graduated from the Charles III University DBA program in 2002. Okay, Dr. Troy actually have a lot of this experience, very strong experience in this research. Okay, in the research area, and Dr. Troy also have taught many subjects before. I think I just highlight a few only. The main one is Dr. Troy have won the most popular articles published in the Journals of Higher Education Policy and Management in 2011. And Dr. Troy also won the Inspirational Teaching Award, the Vice Chancellor Enterprise Awards conferred by the University of Plymouth, UK in 2010. Okay, so a lot of this professional experience, subject taught, and research and supervisions. So maybe I'm not going to go through all. Maybe I will let Professor Dr. Troy to introduce. Okay, I pass you the mic. Okay, thank you.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for that introduction. I'm so pleased to be chatting with you students today. My whole journey, when I've done a lot in international education, and my whole journey actually started when I started looking at partnerships between Australia and Malaysia. So back in the 90s, wow, I wonder some of you were born even then. I was working with, I think it's Help University now in Malaysia, and I have had a strong connection with Malaysia as I've travelled through there. I've gone to some beautiful islands, both on the South China Sea side and the other side, and I've travelled around a lot and taught there as well. So I really want to get back there and hopefully see some of you students in person at some stage. But anyway, let's get on with what we're talking about today. So today we're going to talk about megatrends, and we're going to specifically look at Industry 4.0 as one of those megatrends, and I'll explain that, and also climate change, because what I want from you is to leave this discussion today with an understanding of what you can do to get advanced in your career, to get a job, to advance further in your career, because it's massive megatrends that are happening in the world at the moment. And I think you're well positioned to look at those megatrends and take advantage of those megatrends. So it's a really quite important topic to look at. So what I might do is I might share screen with you. Just bear with me for 1 second. So I'm hoping you can all see me now. A bit of my head's cut off, but I'm hoping you can see me. And if you can't, if somebody could just comment and let me know.
Yes, Dr. Troy, yes, no problem. Yeah, can see me.
Okay, so just very quickly, as my friend, a younger version of me there, I've produced over 80 international publications, and I was an Australian New Zealand Marketing Educator of the Year back a million years ago, and I've worked around the world in a number of countries, including England, set up partnerships in Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Singapore, and obviously now at Wollongong University. So that's just a very brief bio of myself. But let's get to what we're here to talk about today. Megatrends. So let's go a bit of a definition. What are megatrends? So as you can see there, these are powerful transformative forces that could change the global economy, could change business, and could change society. And my friends, you exist in all of those. You are part of the global economy, you're part of business, and you're part of culture and society. And these megatrends, and there's a whole range of them at play at the moment in the world, they influence a lot of things in your daily lives. So we want to have a look at those, and we want to work out where you can be best positioned. Okay, So let's go to what they are. What are some of these megatrends? Okay, so the two biggest ones, and the ones I'm going to concentrate mostly on today, are the first two here. They are technology and climate change. Okay, so I'm going to spend time talking about technology and how it's going to impact our lives, and I'm going to do that through the lens of Industry 1.0 to 4.0, and I'm going to talk about climate change too, because they're very important forces that will impact on your life. Another trend is health. Okay, so health, aging populations, which is linked to demographic changes as well, obesity, a whole range of things are an important mega trend that's changing. And obviously your demographic changes. Probably the biggest one of those is the aging population in a lot of countries. You look at Japan and you look at the number of people that are retiring and at retirement age, the senior population in that country, and how they need to, how the younger people need to support them in pensions and all that type of thing. So the four key mega trends, but the two biggest ones are technology and climate change, and there's health and there's demographics. Now, there's no free lunches or morning teas for you. I want you in the chat box to write down any other mega trends you think will impact on your life. So I want you to write down one in the chat box, and I want to have a quick look at them. What other mega trends you think might impact your life? So if you could do that now, I'm going to have a quick look at those, and then I'm going to comment on them. I'll give you a minute or so to just think about what these major forces, what is another major force that might impact on your life. So if you could do that now, please. Look, there's some lovely comments coming up here, as you can probably see. Food production, okay, very much linked to one of the other ones, environmental issues. Land shortage, linked to overpopulation. Social media, oh my goodness me, well done. Social media we'll talk about, and the truth we'll talk about as well, and how the truth can be manipulated, and how we believe we're individuals, but we are all influenced. And media organisations, and I relate to Fox News and that, how they can influence people, and they have in America for a long time, against climate change and that type of thing. Okay, so overpopulation, job security, that's an interesting one. And what we're hoping to do, I think you'll find in your generation, you'll be going from, like, you won't stay in one career like probably my father did and people there. You'll be going to different careers. So not just different jobs within the one career, but actually different careers. So there's some new interesting, aging society is a good one. And also you said food shortages, environmental issues, overpopulation is one, but if we're planning the population should steady out, and we're hoping so too, because it's the greatest population, a decrease in the population is the greatest contribution we can do to reduce climate change. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, let me go back to this and go here. So well done there. Okay, here's one I think is one in the short to medium term, is geopolitical tension. I think we can see geopolitical tension around the world at the moment. There's China is a rising power in definitely in your area, in your region, and obviously you've got the older power of the United States, and there's a little bit of tension there. You've got the Russian situation at the moment in Ukraine, and there's other issues around the world. So I think, and I hope not, but I think geopolitical might be a bit of an issue going forward as well. So that might be a mega trend there. But anyway, today we want to talk about the two biggest ones being technology and climate change. Okay. So look, what you can do, and if you're really clever, you can combine these forces, like forces of these megatrend forces, like the force of technology with health. Now, one thing, that's just a picture of a watch I put on there, but one thing that will develop and one industry that will develop is using technology, big data, sensors, all of those Internet of Things, all of those concepts in a watch to be, or another device, I don't know which one will come, it might be your phone, to determine your health. So what it will do will be monitored. We can monitor blood pressure and that very easily now. We can do that, but what about breath analysis? So working with your breath on whether your vitamin levels are right, your stress levels are right, blah, blah, blah. It could look at your sweat as well and analyze elements of whether you've got any diseases or that type of thing. So it's like a ongoing 360-day a year health test that you wear. And I think that's an interesting thing. This is where you combine two of these mega forces, where you might have a watch with sensors and Internet of Thing using big data to work out what your health is and where health issues might rise. Now, this can, I'll talk about this a little more, this can all link into where the computer talks to the database and talks back to the computer. So the person might be taken out, or the doctor might be taken out of that situation until it gets to a point where the doctor has to be put in, an actual human doctor, not using big data or that type of thing to analyze it. So my point here, that was just an example. My point here is combining these mega forces. There's going to be huge opportunities for you if you can creatively combine these. Let's look at another combination. This one is obviously more prevalent today. Okay, this is combining the mega trend of technology yet again and technology will be sort of integrated with everything, with climate change. And you look at Tesla, you cannot buy an electric car in Australia. You've got a 12 to 18-month wait to get an electric car in Australia at the moment. Obviously, the infrastructure hasn't caught up, like the charging stations and all that, but this will come. This is, I tell you what, my friends, this is an exciting time to be alive. There is so many things happening around the world. The whole world has to sort of change, whether it can or not, hopefully it will. And there's so many opportunities for you guys because of these changes in the world to make the world a better, hopefully more equitable place. But anyway, that's a change there, megatrend of climate and technology. Okay, so now I just want to move on to talk about technology. So look, it can be called a number of things. It can be called big data, analysis of big data, AI. I've got a PhD student. I'll be showing you some of his work later on AI. You've got Internet of Things. You've got machine learning. Doesn't matter what term, information technology, doesn't matter what term we call it. We're talking about the bundle of all of these technologies. Okay, and there's going to be huge implications for the world, impacting on driving, say, driverless cars. Imagine the implications of that, the new products, the whole way that will impact on your life, that sort of thing, driverless machines and that type of thing. So there's huge implications coming in the future. Okay, and that's just one example. Okay, so back to you, because I want to make sure that you guys are listening. So I want you to write down one change that technology, and what I mean is artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, big data. Look, it all means the same. They're all different bits, but it all means the technology, the change in technology. What major changes that could bring in the next 10 years? Do some gazing, do some idea generation and think about new things. Okay, I just want one. Okay, so if you could put that down in the chat box now, I would greatly appreciate it. Artificial brains, yeah, brilliant. Replacing human workers, that's an interesting one, and that did happen before in one of the industrial revolutions here that we're going to talk about. Come on, my friends, who else is going to put a comment in? Yeah, it's interesting, robots, and how we define what a robot is. I don't know. There's different versions. You can have the human sort of featured robot, but then you can have different robotic techniques that help out. Growing organic organs. That's a good. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And if once you see, this is where this sounds like science fiction, but it's not. We're getting there, and then once we've got that sort of ethically and right in a way to do it, like the business case, then that's a whole new industry. AI robots replacing customer service, yes. Robots as replacing waiters, correct. Oh my goodness me, they annoy me at the moment. The AI for customer service, it's not right yet, is it? There's a bit of a way to go. But there's the hotels now that have a human-looking person. That's a robot. And they get recognition. They understand who you are. They know who you are. They can process everything by the time you hit the counter. Instead of waiting, bang, you're in there. Cryptocurrency. That's an interesting one. That's yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, the life on Mars one, interesting. AI surgery, definitely. So as we can see by these comments, you guys are so lucky. You're going into a period of time where there's going to be such change, such development, such opportunity. But also there's huge challenges as well. So let's have a talk about those. I'll go back to the presentation. Okay, let's move along. So let's talk about the different industry 1.0. I sort of covered some of this back in when I was doing my master's at New South Wales University. Industry 1.1, 2, 3, 4. So when these industry, you know how like excited we are about industry 4.0? Well, back when industry 1.0 was happening, this was huge. Okay, it went from little houses where you would do certain things and barter and sell and that, to smaller factories using, normally around rivers, using steam. So steam engines were the main sort of work of energy. Energy came from steam engines, and energy is a key in all of this. This is why climate change is an issue. But steam was a major driver in this thing. Now, companies that sprung up making these steam engines, they could not sell it, like they just could not keep up with demand. Everybody wanted a steam engine for their factory here in Manchester, in London, in wherever else, and demand was huge. It's like today, maybe with the Internet of Things and different areas there, that was the case back then. Huge change. Once again, society, culture, all of that changed on the back of this change. Okay, then that was about, as you can see there, 1784 roundabout. Then we came to the more mass production. Industry 2.0 was mass production. That was the assembly line. Once again, this created huge cities, like if we look at England, Manchester and Liverpool, you know, those football teams. It produced huge cities around there where you were working on a production line. You very much Taylorism. I don't know if you studied Taylorism, but doing a set tasks on these production lines. And I'm going to talk about the ethics of all of this too, and the human impact of this in a second as well. Then we moved on to Industry 3.0, and that was more about computers, when computers started emerging, and automation and electronics, more, not so much the synchronous communications that we have today, but just being able to get things done and productivity done in a different way, and replaced a number of jobs there. And job descriptions of people changed all over these 1.0 right through to 4.0. And now Industry 4.0, which we're in now, which is hugely exciting, is all about connectivity. The word smart, smartphone, smart factories, smart houses, overused, but anyway, Internet of Things, we're talking about these connections. I think I've got a slide on it in the next slide, so we might get to that today, but this is where we're going. So there's a whole lot of elements of Industry 4.0. Okay, there is things like obviously the Internet of Things, which is more around sensors and being able to measure things and respond to them. Big data, I'll speak about that in a tick. Advanced robotics, which one of you guys put up on the chat a second ago. 3D printing, it's at its very embryonic stages, but it's developing. You've got machine learning, machine-to-machine communication, mobile technologies, okay, cloud computing, we know that. Look, the big area is cyber security. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fed up of getting fake emails, fake messages, fake phone calls, all that type of thing. I think that's going to become a big area in the next 5-10 years. Cognitive computing, thinking for itself, developing, and obviously a lot of this is used through global positioning. So global positioning systems where you can use and know where you are in the world too, which is important too, because that has huge implications. Knowing where you are is then you can map things and you can work out, and you can put a RFID on something. You can work out where it is in the world, when it's going to get there, all that type of thing, all the stuff you're used to in the world. But it's this stuff that is a backbone of, and the way it communicates and talks together and links together is the cornerstone of Industry 4.0. So just take a second. I'm not going to get you to write this down, but what fuels Industry 4.0? What is the fuel of Industry 4.0? Just take a second in your own mind to think about that. Okay, so data, information, getting data. And where does data come from? Everywhere. These days, and this is the issue, is with that term big data, you can get information from everywhere. Okay, so this is where it gets important to, and this is, we're going to talk about this when we relate to you in a second. But yeah, actually getting information and getting the right information and right data is important. I'm going to give you an example, I think next. I've got a friend who lives near me, and we're going on a bike ride actually on Saturday, but you don't need to know that. but his business, he's in an IT, and his business, one of the applications they've got is looking at data on electricity between electricity poles. Okay, and they look at the level, the data they're looking at is the level of the voltage that goes between the pole. Right, and they look at that 100 times a second between every pole in a region of Australia, in part of Australia. So it could be part of Malaysia, let's say, but like every bit of electricity that goes across there, however many times a minute, they look at that. Now, why do they look at that? And they look at that, and that's big data coming in. This is all computer, and all the big data goes into the computer, and the computer analyzes it. It's not like it's a person looking at this. It's all the computer does it. And what they're looking for is change of voltage. And when they find a change of voltage, they then can work out, because they've worked this out with their algorithms and through experience, what that means. And that could mean that a tree has landed on the power lines. It could mean that there's been a bird strike. It could mean that there's something wrong. I don't know what the list of things that could be wrong with, but they know that. So here's the saving. Here's the saving from big data. Instead of sending people out all around the country through bush, through areas to look at the wires and make sure there's no branches and trees on that, this is being done automatically using big data every hour, well, all the time. And as soon as a voltage change is recognised, they've identified what that change is, they can send somebody out to that exact spot to fix that exact issue. So that way, that using big data has created a productivity gain for that electricity business. Now, this is a problem in the world at the moment, is productivity gains. And that is one way of increasing productivity. So I thought that was a nice little one to talk to you about. Okay, so here's my diagram. And this is one I just want you to consider. Okay, on this side, good. Okay, so it does work. On that side, you've got your data. So your data can come in, and it can come in, as I said, from a million sources. It can come in from, I'm going to talk about social media in a tick, but it can come in from like what's on the internet. It can come in from sales. It can come in on tracking where people are purchasing things. It can come in from a multitude of different ways. The amount of rainfall might be one, amount of snow might be another one, not that you have too much snow in Malaysia, that type of thing. So it's about data, getting that data in. And then on the other side, which is these two up here, it's about interpreting that data correctly. Okay, being able to interpret and get meaning out of that data. Because it's all right to have all the data in the world, but if you can't get meaning from the data that's important, then what's the use of it? How is it going to help you in creating value for your customers, whoever they might be? So this is data analytics, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. But it's important to get this data and then to interpret it correctly. Then there's a feedback loop of other data and more things that might change. Now, this is where it gets difficult, my friends. They'll get to a stage, and there is a stage now, of machine learning where the human, which is me in this process here, is taken away. Okay, so I'm taken away from this process, and what happens is that it monitors things and then needs more data or different data or needs new products or new changes, and it's nearly all automated. So a form of machine learning. So this is where the arrows feed back. So in most cases these days with data analytics and that, there is people involved in that process, and obviously setting them up, there's people involved. But at some stages and some systems, then the people go into the background and they disappear to a degree, and then the system works. Now, one of you said about jobs and job security. So yeah, there is a question around that in the future. So I hope you understand that. I'll be with questions at the end. I'm more than happy to try to explain that a little bit more. Okay, so one source that I've published a number of papers with a good colleague of mine down the hallway. He's one of the world leaders in social listening, and what we've looked at as a team is what people are saying about energy policy in Australia. But what it is, you can do this today. You can pay a little bit of money and you can harvest comments from any of the social media sites. So whether it's Twitter, Facebook, if there's an article up on Facebook, we looked at articles on energy policy and what people were saying under it. You know those crazy comments? Some of them are so depressing. You just want to go, oh my goodness me, how are people so stupid? But some of them are quite good and some of them are very insightful. So yes, there's haters on there. Yes, there's cranky people, but within all that grey, there are actually some really nice thought out comments. Now, this is coming from the population and we're not asking them from the comments, they're giving them to us. So using that form of data, and there's systems that can do that without people now. The analysis we do, our expert analyzes the data, but there are systems that analyzes without a person now that looks for key things people are saying. Big data. Big data. How can that help you guys? Well, you look at what people are saying about your product. You look at what people are saying about your competitors' products, and you can find gaps to launch new products. Once again, using big data. So this is just one. Social media is just one tiny part of the data that we can use, the source of data, but that's one I wanted to give you an example of. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so one of my PhD students at the moment, Carl, is brilliant, brilliant fellow. He's working in industry, quite high up in industry as a consultant. And he's looking at professional services. So when professional services, I mean like accounting firms, lawyers, consulting firms, maybe architects, that type of thing, those professional services. And what his PhD is on is looking at how AI is going to impact those industries. And it's really interesting. So I just want to talk a little bit about what he's found to date. So what he's found to date is one, like let's talk about lawyers or accountants. There's a relationship you have. So if you look at the characteristics on that far side, the blue box, there's this relationship intensity you have with the client. Okay, normally on a business to business level. There's also a lot of knowledge the employees have. They have all the knowledge, the accountants and the lawyers. There's low capital investment. They don't need a lot of capital. They just need officers, and not even officers these days with work from home, but and you need the experts are the people. Okay, so it's a professional workforce. Now, what he's finding with the adoption of artificial intelligence, this is all changing. Okay, we're finding that there's products that can do the work of a number of people. So instead of just relationships, there's a product portfolio that people have to manage when dealing with clients. Data and big data becomes very important, and how to interpret it and use it becomes important. And also, the workforce is not just great lawyers. They have to be techno savvy and understand how to use data but connect with relationships as well. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but the issue here is that this can go bad for some organisations, and I'll show you what I mean in the next slide. Have a look at that for a tick. Commoditisation. Okay, so what some law firms, and it's happening with law too at the moment, it's happening now, in the sense that instead of being unique, valued, admired, and using price indicators, What's happening with AI and information being able to do things is you're selling a commodity. Instead of your expertise, you're selling a commodity. So your prices come down, the market becomes more of these commodity providers, and it's a slow way, as this diagram says, to death. Well, it's not. But what you have to be careful of, if you're a law firm, is where you want to be positioned. Do you have some products that are commodities? Right, it could be like wills, doing wills, or doing, I don't know, looking for precedent law. And you have other ones that are your prestige products. So it's about working out how AI could fit within your organization and then how you position your brand in the marketplace. Okay, so that's just one thing you need to be careful of these unique products just coming down because of AI to these commodities that are sold because computer applications can do them much cheaper. Now let's talk about ethical issues for one tick with Industry 4.0. Well, in between Industry 1.0 and 2.0, in the UK, they sent kids down coal mines. That was considered as decent practice. No problems, 10-year-olds down coal mines, because there was such need for demand that people had a different ethical code or did not, and just realised that it was all about money, and children were part of getting that coal out in horrendous conditions. Now, over the years and over the decades, people became a little bit more understanding of that. Okay, now let's move to Industry 4.0. And let's look at what are some of the issues that might come up here. And one of our smart colleagues on this call today said job losses and de-skilling of jobs. Definitely. Privacy. And look, you know, like having your face monitored, understanding who you are, your voice, understanding your private details, the whole privacy thing could be an issue depending on what ethical stance you take. This one, 3, is one that I don't like, is, and this has always been around, it's around propaganda, but it's easier to do now, is using internet, Facebook, Twitter, whatever systems there are to push an agenda. Okay, so in America, Fox News and others that wanted to deny climate change use this very successfully, and one of the reasons the world is in the situation it is in at the moment is because of that. Misinformation and fake news. Another one we need to look out for is bias of algorithms. Who writes the algorithms? Who writes them at the beginning and then the machine learns from there? Because if they are just white males in Silicon Valley, then they're going to have inherent biases in them. So all of these things need to be considered. The gap between rich and poor might come from some of this. If you look at Amazon, and like, I can't talk, I just ordered something from Amazon yesterday. But if you look at Amazon and how they're taking away, they're becoming so, but there's only so much money in the world. So yeah. Okay. So my friends, over to you, right? I want you to consider now how, let's forget about the ethical stuff I just talked about. I want you to consider how you can set yourself up better for Industry 4.0 or this mega change that is happening with technology. How can you put yourself in the best position to get a job? So what I want you to do is write in the box, in the chat, I want you to write in the chat, what skills do you have to develop, to take advantage of this mega trend? Okay, I want everyone to please put something in. Think about yourself, reflect on yourself. And what do you, just put something that you have to develop in your, to take advantage of this mega trend. Okay, if you could do that now, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, very much so. Strong analytics, spot on. Curiosity is always good. Curiosity and understanding Internet of Things and understanding how that operates and how it can be applied. Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs tech understanding. Doesn't mean you need to know how things actually work. It's just how you can apply it and the background of it and what it can do for you. Research and development, yeah, data analytics, data analysis, programming, maybe, my friend, global communications, definitely. Analytics, yes. Tech, social media, how that operates, and an understanding of how we can be influenced and how we are influenced every day by it. We all believe we're not, but we are. Any other comments? Okay. Go back in here. Okay, so I might talk about the second megatrend now, which is climate change. And you always have to, when you talk about climate change, and I'm being cynical here because you don't have to do this, but you always have to have a polar bear. Always when they talk about climate change, they have a polar bear. You don't need a polar bear. It's impacting on us. I coach a soccer team, a football team, and we've been rained out. We should have had about 30 training sessions. We've had 3 because of the abnormal rain conditions in Sydney at the moment. You've probably heard of floods and all that happening, and it's been a little bit desperate over there. And that's climate change. It's going to be more often and more intense, whether it's rain, whether it's drought. You've heard of the fires in Australia a few years ago. It's, yeah. So climate change is here. We have to act on mitigation and solving it. There is no argument anymore about the impacts of man-made climate change. If there is, and if you're doubting it, then you're not in the right camp here. It's been solved. That we've moved on from that, even though Murdoch and Fox News and all that try to keep the very rich rich. The point is we've moved on and we realise that we have to solve this problem. Okay, and it's going to be you guys that need to solve it. But the beauty of this is a lot of you will become millionaires by solving it. The old money, they don't want change. They want to keep their coal mines and keep their money and keep their thingos. But there's new opportunities, and there's thousands and thousands of them where you can make lots of money. But not just that, you're doing the right thing. And this is where I think there is beauty in the world going forward. Okay, just look, I think you need to understand a little bit of carbon literacy. I'm a educator in the world of carbon, like how to make people more carbon literate. But there's a couple of things. The big thing is, big thing with climate change is carbon, what goes into the atmosphere, or the different, carbon, methane, all that go into the atmosphere. And as you can see from this diagram here, right, you've got all of these sources over there where it comes from, current sources, electricity production, food and agriculture, industry, transport, buildings, others. That goes up, and some of it is naturally sequestered. So our coastal mangroves, and there's a lot of mangroves around Malaysia, that sequesters it, and land does as well, tree growth and all that. But look at how much it does. So it does what, 24 plus 17%, 59% is left in the atmosphere. Oh boy, we've got a problem. Okay, this wasn't happening before like 100 years ago or so. It's only in recent times has our CO2, methane, all that production increased so much that it's impacted the planet, and we can see. And look, there's something on Penang that I was reading in preparation for this talk, but I was looking at the impacts of climate change on Malaysia, and look, they're much the same as everywhere. Heat, drought, floods, sea level rise, food crop issues, starvation, and leading to geopolitical tension, health issues, all these type of things. These are what we're experiencing now, and this is where we need smart, creative people like you looking at technology, looking at other megatrends to solve these world problems. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on these following slides. This is more from the how to solve climate change, some of the areas. A lot of it is electricity. Electricity is a solution, and then getting electricity from renewable sources. So PV is already cheaper than coal at the moment. PV is photovoltaic, it's solar, like on the roofs. You've also got wind power, tidal power, and there'll be new ones. You guys will create new ones. A new generation of people will create new ones. So we have to be, but look at all the opportunities for you in this space. Look at all the opportunities over here to create new ideas. So there's electricity solutions. There's solutions around food, plant-based. I'm a vegetarian. I love meat, but because of I believe in climate change and doing whatever, I'm a vegetarian there. And there's different products now that taste better than meat. Some of the meaty products that they use in burgers and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of opportunities in that space. Let's keep going on. Industry solutions. You're looking at waste, recycling waste, using that to solve problems. Refrigeration is a major issue, apparently. I didn't know that. And improving materials. Transport solutions, we talked about cars, electric cars, hybrid cars, bikes. I don't know if any of you have got electric bikes. They're a big thing, and electric scooters, at least around here they are. Walkable cities, the change in cities. Now, all of these changes change culture as well, change the way we live together, even for the better, sometimes mostly for the better. Building solutions, high performance glass, more resilient houses because of the conditions. Okay. So I'm not going to preach to you about climate change. Let me just talk about the opportunities for you. So 54% of business leaders see opportunities in climate change. You can look through here. Of world leaders of the largest companies, 70% see opportunities for growth and innovation. This is the world's largest companies. 67% see clear business case for action. They have to do something. So who's going to do it for them? You are. There's an opportunity for you, and I'll speak on that in a second. Investment in climate change type things there. So I think I'm nearly finishing up on this. I just want to talk about one more slide, and it comes from the Global Green Skills Report, because I want to position this better for you. Okay, let's have a look at this slide here. What does it show? It shows short-term and medium-term job growth. Where are the green jobs coming from? Okay, so this is directly related to you and your future. Okay, so I think most of you, I could be wrong, but I think most of you are business type students in there. So I've put those arrows on that graph where the more business related jobs might come from. So you've got to look at that massive one. I can't really point there. It's up the top there. Look at that big one there. Sustainable sustainability managers. In other words, going to an organisation and being a sustainability manager. Now, if any of you become sustainability managers, you better do it for the right reasons and not just greenwashing. There's a big movement of companies that try to show that they're green and sustainable, but really it's all show and no action, all show and no go, if you like. So I think we're becoming aware of these companies, and I think it's so important to, okay, if we're going to say we're sustainable and our brand is going to show we're sustainable, then we have to be. So anyway, back to my point, lots of jobs in that area. So management skill, innovation, that sort of areas, but you'll need to add to your skill set to do those jobs. There's facility managers, there's sales reps. Selling is a big job. There's compliance managers, there's quite a few other ones in there as well. But there's a lot of options in the future for you to take advantage of this mega trend. Actually, I do have one more here. And the big one, I reckon, is entrepreneurism. I want you to become millionaires. Entrepreneurs looking at a new idea, using technology and green and solving some of the world's problems, because that's going to be so critical. There's massive opportunities there in the future. And there's opportunities, once you have that knowledge, that skill and that drive, to make a lot of money. So before we finish, we're back to you. Right, I want you to write down in the comment box what skills you need to develop in yourself to take advantage of the megatrend of climate change. What do you have to develop in yourself to take advantage of this megatrend? Okay, let's do that. Okay, my friends, I hope you're still there. Brilliant. Yep, sustainable awareness. Yeah, understanding networks, connecting with people, industry and resources, strategy to minimize waste. Yeah, so using a strategy in that, understanding sustainable requirements, legal. Well done. I like that one. I like the one about your imprint, or there's a thing called your carbon footprint. Now, I'm going to sound cynical here, but that your carbon footprint was developed by mining companies. You know why? They wanted to put the onus of climate change back onto you instead of onto them. And yes, it is important. Like I recycle, I invest only in environmentally sustainable sort of companies and business. I'm a vegetarian, I do all that, but I'm very careful. But also there's only so much I can do in society. Brilliant, the 3 R's, excellent. So the starting point, I would say, for all of you is to do a carbon literacy course. Understand climate change, and you don't have to be a scientist, but just understand the background of it and what the solutions are. So there will be courses, and you're attached to UOW, so hopefully one day I might be doing a course over there with you on this. But they're short courses, and it just gives you this level of awareness of what the problem is, so you actually understand the problem and then what possible solutions are. Because without understanding the problem and where it comes from, and how effective that is in the idea to reduce CO2, methane, all that up into the atmosphere. That's the key. And once you understand that, then you can work out what's effective and what's not in doing that. Understanding importance of implementing of, yeah, and policy creation, thank you. Policy creation is really difficult, and it does when it impacts people's lives. And we've all had impacts, like people that used to produce typewriters when the computer came, or cameras and film developers, that all changed. So there has been adjustments done throughout history, but this will be probably one of the biggest ones. Okay, my friends, look, I think that's carbon tax. That's a good one. Yep. I think that's it from me. I've been talking too much. I really thank you for listening to me. And what I want to do now is probably hear some questions from you, and I'll try to answer them. And if I can't, maybe your colleagues can there.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Troy Heffernan, for sharing with us a lot of things and enlightens us. I think a lot of things now in my mind. I mean, we heard about the sustainability managers. I mean, what we can do. I think to contribute, make more contribution to our environments, fight for this climate change. Okay, maybe I just open to all students, and if you have any questions or I mean any queries, maybe you can ask our Professor Troy here. Anyone? Okay, maybe for myself, I have one question, sir. I mean, of course, now Professor Troy, you share with us the megatrends about this IR 4.0 and this what do you call? How do we go and fight for this climate change? I mean, for us, I mean, for individuals, we have a very limited powers or this influence to this climate change. I mean this has to go to the government. What kind of policy maybe they can come up, and we also have the climate change summit from the I think the latest one in Paris or what. A lot the world leaders they have gathered together and come out I think a lot of resolutions and policies. I mean, but because of I think recently because we have this Ukraine and Russia war, and it I think seriously disrupt the energy supply. So to me, maybe for the individual, what we can do, I think we start from the basic one, from the 3R concept, reduce, reuse, and recycle these products. Maybe I think we have to feedback more to our government, I think, or the entrepreneurs, the businesses. I think so.
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I think from all my analysis and my research, it really works with government policy. Like this is why I made that comment a second ago, that the idea of the carbon footprint, like what is your carbon footprint, that was created by the mining industries, because what they wanted to do, this is all where it gets murky and horrible actually with lobbying and all that, is where they wanted to put the onus of climate change on the individual instead of on the governments and the business. Now, unfortunately, it is we need governments that are willing to do this. The point is, it's coming. Like climate change is coming. It's here, and it's coming even worse. And it's going to affect us all, and probably the poorer more than the richer. But we need governments that are willing to take action on that. And there is a number of other issues in the world, as you said. There's wars. There's trying to keep you in a job and that sort of thing. So, look, it's interesting. One thing you can do is you can recycle, reuse, and that. But you can also use your voice to promote climate change, to vote for candidates that believe in climate change, and to pressure that. And the young people of this world are doing that. We've got some questions here. That's a good one. In what aspects UOW has implemented IR 4.0 and climate change strategies? Look, so I'm going to speak more, to answer that, I'm going to speak more about climate change and I'm on the climate change. Our new Vice Chancellor is very progressive in this area, and we're going to be carbon neutral by 2030. At least, definitely our campus here is going to be carbon neutral. We're looking at a whole range of ways, but also we're looking at educating all our students on carbon literacy as well. So we're looking to make sure we get our energy from sources that we might even develop, from photovoltaic sources and that sort of thing, or from carbon neutral sources, but we're going to make sure that all our suppliers are the same. And this is what's going to happen. So in Malaysia, if you're some business that sells to another business and that's how you make money and you don't give a damn about climate change, well, they might say to you, you have to care about climate change or we're not going to use you. And this is where Marks and Spencer's in England are doing that. They're making sure and they're helping their supply chains become carbon neutral. So that's an interesting one there. Now, to answer your question on Industry 4.0, what are we doing there? There's a lot of big data we're using. I'm introducing in my marketing degree here, we're using a lot more, I'm bringing in a lot more subjects on big data, on analytics, on how to be that person between understanding the data and then how to use it. So we're developing subjects at the moment on that area. So sorry, that's probably the best answer I can give you there. I'll have a look at that next question. Facing hesitation from service providers here with the government implementation strategy of 5G. Okay, my friend, on 5G, do you want me, my most intelligent answer I can give you on that is I have no idea. I don't really know. I don't really understand 5G. I know there's a lot of political issues around it, at least in Australia, with some of the providers. And it's interesting, isn't it, whether the government want to set it up, private providers. This is the geopolitical issues as well. So I'm really sorry. I don't know if any of the students have a better answer for that than I do. Private building networks or government regulations set up and the environmental impact of the technology. Yeah, there's probably going to be environmental impacts of technology until we can start recycling more and getting our energy from renewable sources. That's just the way it is. We need to get a lot more renewable, you need to get your energy when you switch your light on or heater or cooler on, sorry, I should say, in Malaysia, that needs to come from renewable sources. And it's cheaper too once you've got it going. It's just the investment to get it going. Good question, Dr. Jasmine. How should the educators, providers respond? I would say it's exactly what we're doing I'm the discipline lead of marketing here at Wollongong, And what we're trying to do, and I've talked to industry, lots of industry, and data analytics, big data, understanding how to use it and how to respond. AI has to be embedded in our programs. We need students that come out of our degrees with extra certifications from Google Analytics, which we do already, Salesforce and that type of thing we're looking at doing, and they need to understand the digital world. My graduates, the young, brilliant graduates from here, a lot of them go into small to medium-sized businesses and they go straight into the digital side of it. So they're doing digital marketing. So there's huge job growth, at least in Australia, from what I've seen in that area. You can ask a question verbally too, if anyone's got one, if anyone wants to. Okay, are there any other questions or any last questions? Okay, so I might then wrap up. And look, it's been a pleasure chatting to you today. I wish I was actually over there having some of your beautiful food in Malaysia, but I'm here in Wollongong. At least it's sunny today and not rainy. And look, I hope you guys all the best for the rest of your degrees, and just remember to be creative, to look at opportunities, because you are the future and you are going to be the ones that will solve these problems. So thank you very much for your time today listening to me.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Troy, for sharing such a lot of things and knowledge with us. And I think we are very happy and feel very excited. I think students here also, because this is the first time we have this guest lecture. And thank you very much, Dr. Heffernan, for joining this guest lecture section. So maybe we look forward, maybe we have another chance, maybe if Professor Troy, if you're coming to Malaysia or what, then maybe you can come and visit our UOW Malaysia campus. We have two campuses here, one in Penang, one in Selangor, near the Kuala Lumpur. Hopefully hopefully in the near future. Okay, so thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again, Professor Troy. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good weekend.
Have a good day. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.